Y'all ready to be history?
Get started.
Welcome.
Hi.
Hello, everyone.
To the Pro Audio Suite.
These guys are professional. They're motivated.
With Tech to the VO stars. George Whittam, founder of Source Elements. Robert Marshall, international audio engineer. Darren Robbo Robertson and global voice. Andrew Peters, thanks to Tribooth. Austrian Audio, making passion heard. Source Elements. George the Tech Whittam. And Robbo and AP's international demos. To find out more about us, check theproaudiosuite.com.
Line up, ladies!
Here we go.
And welcome to another Pro Audio Suite, thanks to Tribooth. Don't forget the code TRIPAP200 to get $200 off your Tribooth. And it's the portable booth you can stand up in when you're traveling, which is kind of convenient. And also Austrian Audio, making passion heard. Lots of people are making their passion heard at NAB. And we have two people at NAB in Vegas.
We're not physically at NAB right now. The show's closed for the day, and it would be too darn noisy there. However, I did see a really serious ISO booth just around the corner from the Source Elements booth.
Oh, the
MECART or
two?
MECART. It looks like the word MECART.
I didn't see that one. I have to go see that.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
As in MC art? Is that what you're saying?
MECART, but it's from Quebec.
MECART.
So it's MECART without the
It's
T.
from Quebec?
They're from Quebec.
From the land where it's going to cost how much in imports to bring it in?
But
Yeah,
they also fabricate them in Greenville, South Carolina.
In America.
That's right.
That's right.
This one.
Greenville, South Carolina, which is where BMWs are assembled.
But from parts brought in from a tax. Yeah.
That's right. We're not talking about the T word or the
let's
T
not go
word.
there. Seriously.
Or the T word.
Or
No
the-
T words.
Oh, yeah.
No
or
T
the-
words.
the T.
Anything that starts with a T is banned from this
But watch
podcast.
this, George. Ready?
Oh, Cousteau Block.
Have you seen this?
I've seen the demo. He's showing me a video. There's a product called Cousteau Block. They do show up at all the
trying to
trade
stop
shows.
this
I've
video,
seen them
sorry.
I've seen them at a lot of the trade shows. And
I honestly thought they were bullshit.
well, I kind of thought they were bullshit too. They have a very good demo, which what they do is they make a tiny ISO booth out of their material. They have a speaker playing a considerably
Pretty
loud
good volume,
output,
yeah.
but not a full range. It doesn't. The speaker's not putting out anything below probably 100 hertz. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Let's keep those pesky little frequencies out of there.
Yeah, but you put the lid on it, and it kills the.
You don't hear
sound
shit.
very effectively.
It's like, yeah.
But
the construction of it seems to be very lightweight compared to drywall. Because the way they sell it, each one of those layers is the same as a piece of drywall.
Yeah. So in order for mass-loaded vinyl to do what it does, it has to be extremely dense, right? Like drywall. And most mass-loaded vinyl is about 1 pound per square foot, or it can be up to 2 pounds per square foot. So let's say you have a sheet of. Sorry for all the Euro people that speak metric, but we'll
just go
try to
Google the
translate.
difference because
You take-
we're using the right.
You take a material that's
we're
1
talking
pound.
300 millimeters or 30 centimeters is a foot.
30 centimeters square that weighs, let's say, just for this discussion, a half a kilogram. Okay?
Yeah.
So multiply that by the area of a single sheet of gypsum or drywall, which in the U.S. is about 48 inches by 96 inches.
It's about the same here. Yep.
Is that a similar standard?
Yeah, standard,
out there?
I think, yeah.
Yep.
And so that would be the
size.
weight. You take that and multiply that by, let's see, that's 4 by 8. That's 4 times 8 is 32. 32 times a half a kilogram. So it'd be about 17 kilograms
kilos.
for a sheet.
Which is like 8 pounds.
No, it's like
32
30
pounds.
pounds, 32 pounds.
Jesus.
Yeah.
So that's more than a piece of drywall.
It's up there with a piece of drywall. So I guess my
A piece
point
of drywall is 30 pounds?
it's very heavy.
Really?
So what it takes to stop sound is mass.
Mass, yeah.
Whether it's rigid or not.
You can't
But
cheat
the thing
physics.
about acoustic block is it's a limp mass.
Yes.
And a limp mass is even better at controlling lower frequencies because it
gives.
It gives. So when a low frequency sound passes through, it will actually
That's
some of that
that's
energy
one of their
is
selling.
lost.
That's one of their selling points. So like the way they construct their wall is, imagine you've got two 2x4s or wall studs. So you pin this acoustic block between them, but you keep it loose. And it doesn't. It's not taut.
Right.
And then you put the drywall in front of it, and now you have two different masses that catch different frequencies, and you get a broader band of noise reduction.
Yeah, it does work. It absolutely does work. I did a studio 5-6 years ago where we did, I like to call it the belt and suspenders approach, redundancy. So we have isolation, we have vibration isolation because the drywall is floating on rubber isolators. We have double stud, so the studs are separated between the two rooms.
Staggered studs.
Yes. And we have MLV, mass loaded vinyl, or Cousteau Block. Cousteau Block is a trademarked name, right? Draped behind the drywall, but not
touching.
It can't. It can't be sandwiched in between the drywall.
No.
What people do mistakenly.
It's gotta be the last layer.
Yeah, is they'll like put it between two layers of drywall, and that doesn't work.
You want it in the gap.
Yeah, so it's an unbelievable amount of isolation between these rooms. I mean, the walls are about a foot thick when you measure from wall to wall. But man, it's really incredible how much sound that stuff blocks. So that guy's right near your. That's right.
He's across the way from our booth.
They're an interesting part of the hall. Source Elements.
I looked at that, and I think there's a serious booth that can be made highly more portable than any of the ISOVox.
Actually,
or not the ISOVox.
You already know what it is. You've seen it. Vocal Booth to Go.
Yeah.
Had their isolator booth at Source.
Source
Elements sponsored.
Yeah, but that thing is
booth, and you remember how heavy it was?
Crazy. I'm picturing something slightly different. I don't want to give the full product away, but I think that like they did too much work trying to put all these ringlets, and they kind of screwed the airtightness of it. The reason why this demo works is because it's also airtight.
Yes,
and that's what's necessary.
Yeah, it's the combination of mass and an airtight seal. Exactly. Yeah. So. Anyway, I saw this MECART booth, which is also, you have to check it out. It's not far from you guys. And it's one of those extremely high quality triple seal door. You know, the door has three sets of seals, you know?
Yeah, like the bank vault.
Yep. Oh, yeah. It has that bank
Is this
vault.
like one of the $30,000 booths? Or
yeah.
Sure. I see. It's like untouchable shit.
They're very, very expensive. But, you know, they're at NAB because they're looking for facilities.
They're broadcasters,
Yeah, big time. But I have a few clients that would probably buy one of those.
Do you know what the problem with those are? Like we had a IAC booth.
Can't move them.
You can't sell them.
Well, you can't sell them.
So we had an IAC booth.
Because they're so heavy, right?
Yeah, and granted, like almost better than the booth you can build.
Yeah.
And then it's perfect. And first of all, you will never want to build it again because the amount of physical labor it is to move those 400-pound walls into place.
Oh, yeah.
It's backbreaking.
Right.
And then you build this thing, and one day you're like, one day I'll have to take it down. Right. And you're like, but this thing's worth $20,000, $30,000. So you do it, and you take it down. And then you move it to storage because you don't have a buyer right away. And you start out and you're like, I will sell this $30,000 thing for $10,000. And by the end, you will be happy to get someone to buy it for $3,000 or $4,000 because you're paying storage on it, and there's not a lot of buyers.
By audiologists, so they'll go at an audiology center, you know, and they'll have 3 or 4 or 5 of them, and then you'll see them show up online, and they'll be like, "Please take them before we have to throw them away."
I have a good story. So there's a place in New York. There's a really good studio in New York called VoxPod, and their model is they have a room with, I think it's like 15 or at least 10 of these mega booths. Okay?
No, in Chicago, there's one.
No,
of these?
in New York.
Oh, New York. Okay.
It's just they got one engineer. Like if you're a voice talent in Manhattan and you are trying to do voice work, you might be better off not bothering trying to make your closet work because you're never going to get your closet to be proof of all the sirens and everything else that's downtown Manhattan.
Yeah.
You could get probably 20 or 50 bookings there for the amount of money you'd spend building an actual booth in your place.
Right.
You're going to have one engineer who is roaming the place, managing all the booths. Each one can have one connection, or they got the whole thing Dante together, so you could be a remote studio, and you could hire all the booths together in one massive ensemble with pure isolation between everybody. It's a really flexible place.
Well, a friend of mine's building one of those in LA right now.
Same idea,
but not the Dante. I don't think he's gone that far yet.
But check out how VoxPod gets their deal. There's a post house that has a whole bunch of these, and they end their lease. And they can't get rid of these things. And it's going to cost you like tens and tens of thousands of dollars to get these things physically out.
So they're acquiring these booths on us for a song.
He bought them, all of them, for $1, I believe, if you would just get them out of there.
Yep.
Oh, brutal.
I mean, you're talking about like 10 booths, technically worth, theoretically, $30,000 each. He got $300,000 of booths for $1 because they were so desperate to get
That's
them out of that
insane,
building.
dude. Oh my God.
And they just would have had like landfill charges. Can you imagine the weight? Because when you throw stuff away, it's by weight.
Yeah,
like,
and they weigh a couple
like,
thousand pounds.
They made a good deal. He made a good deal.
Yeah,
well, let's see. What else? So, Robert, you didn't get to escape the booth that much
Not
far.
too much. I went to Adobe.
Yeah.
I was talking to them about Adobe Premiere.
Yeah.
Trying to get, actually, Nexus kind of working there. I had okay conversation with them. You know, we had a lot of vendor-to-vendor stuff. It's been good. We've had broadcasters and it's been a good show. Yeah.
Good.
It's 20 freaking years.
20 years of coming, but 20 years, how about 20 years of NAB?
I don't think I've done 20 NABs, but I've done easily 15.
Wow.
Like, I know this place. And
so 20 years of Source Elements. What's the crowning achievement? Do you reckon? What's the one? I mean, SourceConnect is great, but
SourceConnect 4.
Yeah, is that the crown in the jewel? You reckon?
I'll speak from my perspective.
Yeah.
So in 2005 and 6, I helped build a company, or I did the engineering side of a company called Out of Here.
Yeah.
My friend Steve Nafshin wanted to be able to make kits for his actor clients who worked at Wood Holly and then Davis Glick. These were studios in Hollywood that did a lot of recording of promo, right? A lot of promo work.
All kinds of voiceover work.
All kinds. But so Steve had the dream of like making kits that they could take, that he could rent out to talent who were going on vacation and be able to continue connecting at ISDN clients from wherever they went. So we came up with, I called them VO to go kits featuring SourceConnect.
And the name of the company was Out of Here.
It was Out of Here.
Out of Here.
Yeah, Out of Here.
That. Yeah.
And so that was really a big part of how SourceConnect was the key for this thing to work. And I built kits with little MacBook. No, they were PowerBook G4 or G3
with like M boxes or something.
Those were the days.
Yeah. M boxes. I had
what mics were they?
I had Sound Devices MM1 mic preamps, which were really nice quality preamps. And then 416s, 41.6, of course. A Canon inkjet printer in the bottom.
Really?
Print their copy.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And these kits are like what, $400 or $500 a week?
And
or something?
what did you put all this in a suitcase or something?
Yeah, he had it in a Pelican case.
It was a rolling Pelican, which is like that hard shell plastic case lined with foam, you know? And I would pick and pluck the foam to fit all the gear.
And then he would provide you the ISDN lines to SourceConnect into, and your clients would dial in on the ISDN side, because back then it was mostly all ISDN. I mean, I remember he wasn't too happy at me when I did ISDN Bridge.
No, I know. My friend, he created this business model, and then Source Elements decided to do a bridge, which they had.
Well, love is a bridge, apparently.
Well, I'll be honest. One of the reasons why is because we were trying to get SourceConnect more promoted, and the bridges were just kind of expensive, and so people weren't bridging because of
expensive / difficult to.
Yeah, the cost of the bridges, and so we were just trying to drive down the cost of bridging so that talent were more likely to pick up SourceConnect and say, I can get to my clients who are still, in those days, a lot on ISDN.
Right.
So it was just like, it was a little bit one of those things where we were just trying to loss leader.
Yep.
It was kind of funny when SourceConnect came out, though, because in this country, there were no home studios for voice talent. So the ISDN thing was studio to studio or, broadcast or whatever.
Well, you had ISDN at your house, right, Andrew?
Yeah, I did for a while. God, it was expensive. But I remember I stumbled across SourceConnect. That was 2007. I've forgotten what year it was, but I looked at my license.
Early on.
And
the second year.
And I went to a studio to do a job, and the guy who owned the studio, Mike Slater, he's really techie, and I said, there's something you should check out, this thing called SourceConnect. And he moved aside, and I looked at the screen of his laptop, and he was looking at SourceConnect. and he said, yeah, it looks really interesting. Are you thinking about getting it? Not that I had any reason to get it, but I said, yeah, I'm curious. This could be really interesting. So he said, well, if you buy it, I'll buy it, and then we can test it. So we both bought it, and then we started testing SourceConnect, and that was 2007.
Yeah.
Oh, baby. That would have been Source 3.0?
3.
Or 2 something.
God, no, that would have possibly been like 2.5.
Yeah.
or
Yeah, it was
something like really early. It might have been before Restore Replace was even made. I know another person who reached out to us super early on was Joe Cipriano.
Yeah.
He was like, free me of this cage.
Yeah.
I want
that was that kind of the golden handcuff thing,
Yeah.
was like we were trying to
get
people liberated from that. Yeah. So that's how Out of Here really became a big SourceConnect user. And,
Hey, George, just a quick
Sip.
question, George. A quick one. Out of Here, did they spell here H-E-A-R?
Yeah.
Clever.
Yeah.
Well, it's like dollars with here and there.
Right.
H-E-A-R.
Right.
Yeah.
So Joe Sip, like talk about ISDN bridging, again, like 2008, 2007, really early on. He's on a cruise ship with like $30 an hour internet. Because it's up to the satellite internet,
Right.
down over to wherever he bridged from. I'm not sure. He might have bridged from his house. He might have self-bridged. I'm not even sure.
Oh, yeah. He did try doing that.
And then into his ISDN box and off to the clients. And on that ship, I mean, it was like 3 seconds of latency.
At least.
Wow.
That was probably over Hughes satellite.
Yeah, exactly. But it was like in the middle of the Mediterranean, ISDN bridged,
Pulled it off.
SourceConnect. Like and he's also done like, he was one of the first ones to do 3G at the time, cell connections on the side of a road.
Yeah, Verizon.
I remember that.
Yep. Like
In the back of his car. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been really amazing to see SourceConnect. Like, it started as a way to liberate a lot of clients from being connected to ISDN.
we didn't see it. We didn't see that though. You know what's funny?
Yeah.
Like we made
That
it.
was from my perspective.
Well,
was
this
what I saw
was a
people-
whole market. Like, it's funny how
Yeah.
we've made things that we didn't see the market for initially.
Yeah.
We made it. We saw it as just like studio to studio connections, but we're just trying to drive the cost down of ISDN because ISDN was so painfully expensive. It was like
Right.
$2,000 a month or more by the time you're done with usage and everything. So we're just like, hey, studios need to have a better way to connect. But then these ISDN talent, a lot of them who were like, they were kind of doing it. They were making like the 6 figures plus, I don't even know. And they're like, I am chained to my house and I have the great job, but I got to get free. So they're the first ones that are like, I'm willing to spend $600, $800 on something that's going to actually, back then, SourceConnect 3 standard was only $395.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And
And I built a kit just for Don LaFontaine. He had his own kit. I built one for him, and I'll never forget it because the laptop was in the lid of the kit.
oh, cool.
And unfortunately, I didn't tell him that he should flip the laptop upside down so the screen is on the inside. And he went on a cruise ship,
Correct it.
and that thing got crushed under the weight of the luggage on the cruise ship and cracked the screen.
Oh, no.
He pulled his laptop out in England.
Couldn't
on the-
use it.
after their cruise, and the screen was cracked. He had to go to a store in London and buy a laptop, a MacBook on the.
And then you
get
just
back-
set it up.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we got it back.
Wow.
But I learned a real lesson. But yeah,
I
there's so
think
many
Don could
stories
afford
around
it.
SourceConnect. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, I discovered SourceConnect when I first started podcasting. My first podcast was a show called the Mojo Radio Show. And I was here in Sydney, and the guy I was doing the show with was up over the Blue Mountains, 350 kilometres away. And we wanted to do it like this, and that's how I discovered.
Question, how long have we been doing the Pro Audio Suite for?
8
Audio
years.
Suite?
5 years?
This is Series 8, yeah.
This is 8
Holy
years?
cow.
Yeah, this is
I
Series
know,
8.
it's scary, isn't it? I can't believe it either, but bloody hell.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was a Christmas, it'd be 8 years. this
2017.
coming Christmas.
It all
Yeah.
starts like you just inviting, because you two are doing a podcast. You're like, hey, be a guest. I'm like, okay, let's be a guest. And George
Yeah.
is there, and it's like it just turned into that like chemistry. But
Well, then we
8
decided we'd do
years.
the Christmas episode and said, let's get a couple of guests back. And we decided on you two. And all of a sudden there was this chemistry. It was like, fucking hell.
This works.
And it's
Look
been
what we've done
chaos
now.
ever since.
It's crazy how, I mean,
I mean, I'd spoken to you, Robert, and you and Rebecca, actually, with
we knew
about
you
Source
forever
Connect.
but before the podcast. I mean, we knew you. Yeah. I didn't know
we talked
Robbo
about
before the podcast, to be honest. I don't think.
No, I didn't know you.
Yeah.
But we had spoken. I can't even remember what we were talking about. We were talking about something that
so many
SourceConnect were doing.
We were talking
something.
about. I think you and the guy from New York, I think at Lotus, were wanting specific stuff from SourceConnect and how can we connect talent. And there was like lots of like casting possibilities, and there's always like discussions. And And I always just remember you being like super engaged and like full of ideas. And
not your typical voice actor.
Well,
In terms of
I always read
engaged with
Andrew
ideas.
as like geeky, techie, well, like wanting to be more techie than he is.
Yeah.
But I love it because it's like super engaged.
It didn't work.
But engaged
No
and
insult,
enthusiastic.
no
yeah.
insult at all, Andrew.
You
Like,
get
I'm not,
points
like,
for trying. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, not intimidated by it. And
No.
not saying things like, oh, I don't know, I'm Amish.
appreciates the quality and wants to know more and
Inquisitive.
yeah.
It was funny actually because one of the first trip I made to the States for real-time casting,
That's the one. Yeah.
I went to LA and met with SBV. And after our meeting,
Oh my
I can't
gosh.
even think of her name now, she said, I know someone you should meet. And I said, oh, okay. She said, a guy called, do you know Joe Cipriano? And I said, no, I don't. She said, I'll arrange a meeting. Give me a call tomorrow. So I called him the next day and then went up to see Joe at his place in Bel Air. And that was when I saw your studio, George, the one you built for
When he
him.
built
Oh,
for George,
you went to the
which is
pool- the
probably one of your
pool,
best
yeah.
build-outs.
That was
That was
one
a-
of the best.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
It
was,
was one of my
studio.
earliest.
but still like so beautiful, just like a fish tank
I
look.
peaked 15 years ago. Not really.
It's been a
No,
long downward
but that
slope
is the
since
one
then.
people remember because Joe was such an outgoing person. He loved to share his studio. He had parties at that house. So
That vaulted ceiling with the fish tank
Yeah.
studio in the middle of it. I mean,
Yeah.
it just looked awesome.
that was a cool space. It was.
yeah,
it
it's
was
very
so sad that he had to demolish it when they sold.
He
the house.
demoed it?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
Why?
my God.
yeah. That was a heartbreaker. I came in and took all the gear out and sold everything that I could sell for him, and that was the end of that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Here, I have another funny one really quick. So things we made that we didn't see the use exactly of, like we didn't see that talent would want SourceConnect as their own thing instead of just studio.
Right.
But also we made this thing called Source Zip a long time ago.
Yeah.
And it was made just to like the first use was, hey, we have an ADR session and we just need to get you the scratch audio really quick. This was when uploading and downloading files took forever. So we're going to compress it all and get it to you quick because it's just for reference. And then all of a sudden it's like we are getting crap loads of downloads and purchases from like Egypt and UAE and all over the Middle East. And we don't know why. It's just like this thing took off a little bit in the Middle East. And it turns out basically like those internet connections there, when you buy internet, you're basically charged by how much you use it. So they
It's
wanted to
metered? It's a
exchange.
metered connection?
It's metered, and they wanted to exchange files, but it's like I didn't want to give you all 7 gigs of it.
Yeah.
So
they
here-
want to be able to send the minimum set of data that they could send.
No idea about.
Well,
like,
I'll tell you, here's another interesting thing with SourceConnect. Going back to the beginning when you were building it for studio to studio, and even up until probably 2015, 2016, 2017, you would never have thought that one day all the voiceover talent agents would say to their clients, you must get SourceConnect,
Oh my
not the
gosh.
free one.
yeah,
not the free one.
not the really poorly named one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that your biggest regret?
It's one of the
SourceConnect now?
dumbest things we did was to name our Chrome offering SourceConnect Now. Because back then, Now was like a way, it was sort of like I this and I that, and Now was sort of like a tag that was used for various products. And it was like, Now is our free version. And that's right when that's like basically Google puts out this Google, Skype, Xiphing.org. They all get together. They put out this codec called Opus. We had spent like more than a house licensing this codec. And then it was like a freak out. And within a year or less, all of a sudden, all this stuff starts popping out on Chrome.
Right.
And
Right.
we're like, and I'm not going to name names. And we're just like, we got to answer it. And,
Yeah.
And so, and Rebecca basically like literally just disappears for a month. And comes out a month later
I'll
with
be
like
right back.
SourceConnect now. Like,
Yeah,
what do we
yeah.
name it? And we're like, and we were just gonna like, once you get into it, it had so many flaws with how we're just like SourceConnect's so much better. It treats the audio properly. Like
Right.
this is just communications, and we didn't know how to charge for it. And there's like a feeling like you can't really charge for this because it's just this thing that's in Chrome. And like, how do we best use this as a foil against all this other stuff? And we thought, oh, we'll make
Honestly,
it free.
though, making it free was your biggest mistake.
It was. Yes.
It's true.
Yeah.
Because what happened is everyone went, that's free. I don't know about it. I'll just pay for the other stuff too. And it just made it confusing. And it could never technically connect to SourceConnect because they're just like, completely different things.
Right.
And it just
So
caused
many years later, you had to make amends and come out with SourceNexus.
Well, we moved it over to Nexus because we had so many products. And so we were like, okay, we're going to be a 2-product company, just SourceConnect and SourceNexus.
Speaking of Nexus, I don't know whether this is a compliment or not, but if there's one product that has changed my workflow dramatically that I've come across in 36 years, it's SourceNexus. It has changed the way I work on a day-to-day basis since the moment I had it. I love it. For me, I obviously know I use and love SourceConnect, but if I had to rank my favorite Source Element product, Nexus would be the top of the list for sure. Wow.
Yeah, it's a real Swiss Army knife for engineers. Like voice talent don't need it as much. Some could, but it just like breaks. It just consolidates all this hardware that you can just now do inside the computer, and it makes your computer and all the apps inside your computer cohesive into a setup. Yeah. It's funny how it comes up too. I mean, I'm just doing my job as host audio, and it's like, why can't you just do this? Like, why do I have to sit with this room full of like phone patches and this and this? And I can just route this all inside the computer. And
the thing for me that was the killer for me, and the thing that changed my life was when I had sessions with more than one SourceConnect connection in the days before SourceConnect 4, obviously. Mm-hmm. But then I had clients and creatives on Zoom.
Yep.
Right? I mean, how the fuck you would do that without Nexus? Thank God I never had to try. I never came across that.
The really funny thing about Nexus also, which was a great product, I agree, but it also highly enabled our competition. Right. To the point that you would find like XYZ Chrome browser solution, and then in their PDFs, the instructions are go get Nexus to do the part that we don't do, which is the plugin. And it's like SourceNexus is now letting the Chrome things do a little bit what SourceConnect did. And we were like, well, that's good. We're getting it's just a useful thing. And I think that you just put useful stuff out and like let the market and the use figure itself out. And I needed it, so I wanted it. And that's a lot of how it goes.
It's where great ideas start. Exactly.
Well, that's how the PASport came to be.
And then it kind of gets ripped off. Like at the end of the pandemic, like one of the DAW makers rips it off. Yeah.
And you got Sherlocked.
Yeah, but then we're like, okay, so what is it used for? And like you said, like I want to hook Zoom up, I want to hook up. And so like, all right, well, let's complete that whole story. If they're gonna like try to hijack the simple thing that it did, let's complete the whole thing and do all of it better. And so it kind of evolved into a whole new suite of plugins.
Well, I mean, the other thing that I've noticed, I've seen some radio stations, and I know Sideshow at Triple M here is a great example. He's got it because he would have jocks come to him and go, oh, there's this interview from such and such on, whatever. Can you get me a grab of it, right? So before Nexus days, he would have to dump it out to, a 2-track recorder on a laptop or something, and then play it back into Pro Tools or whatever. Whereas now it's just, as you know, it's going to YouTube, click, bang, 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 done, straight into Pro Tools. Done.
I mean, the thing that I would do is I would have like, I need to do this and that, and it's all this application. And I would have like a 16-channel interface in Pro Tools, and then I'd have 2 or 3 USB audio interfaces, and I'd go out XLR one interface into the other one. Yeah. And I'm like, why can't I just do this inside the computer? And that's where Nexus comes from. I'm like, why can't I just have a plugin that faces a driver instead of a piece of hardware that faces a driver?
Throwing back to Out of Here was a rack of Zephyrs. It was a Mac Pro or whatever we were using.
Digi-002?
It was at first it was a Digi-02. Then we had some kind of an M Audio 8 in, 8 out.
Mm-hmm. Was it optical or analog?
Yeah. Everything was patched analog. We had a mixing console that had every single output of the patch bay running into it, so we could patch in and listen
to anybody.
Command 8 or something like that was the console.
Yeah. Well, if we wanted to check in on a session and make sure it sounded good.
And this was originally in Steve's garage?
This was in Steve's garage, And then we had, so we could do quality control. We could also patch in from the bridge and say, hey, we're at the bridge. Just let you know the client or whoever let's just say it was Joe. Joe's going to be right there with you guys. Just to hang tight, But actually it was George Del Hoyo, probably more than anybody.
I had the same thing with my bridge, except I would SourceConnect into it.
Yeah.
And my mixer was the Motu like the same thing as the Apollo mixer, but
Yeah.
like Motu's version of it.
Yeah.
And then from that, all the aux-ins, I could like SourceConnect in and be like, okay, guys, is there a problem? What can I help you with? And I'd be like, I remember
Your
times
voice
being in
of God.
hotel rooms and just like, what's going on? How can I help? Well,
Yeah. well, Steve. Well, so Steve, I know there's so many stories about out of here too. Going back, Steve, after we got it built and working, Steve was like, "Can I remote control this thing more?"
Right.
Because I still have my day job at Davis Glick.
And then he
So-
did it from Hawaii too.
Yeah, and he did it from Hawaii for a while, but he'd had his day job at Davis Glick, and he'd be like, "I still want to run it." So I had not only remote a way for him to obviously not zoom in, actually in his case, SourceConnect in. TeamViewer to control the computer.
Yep.
SourceConnect to talk to talent or clients, whoever was on the connection. And then we had
SourceConnect now for him to patch in and
I
listen.
think it was SourceConnect now for listening in.
Yep.
And then I had a power switch that was IP controlled.
Yes,
So
yes,
he had
yes.
to shut off a Zephyr remotely
course,
or restart
yes.
a Zephyr. He could do all that
the power,
from the studio on his laptop. Yeah. So he was running sessions, bridges, while sitting in the studio recording promo or whatever.
that IP controlled power. Eventually, Rebecca in Source Elements takes over the ISDN bridge I do, and that was a menu item in the web interface.
Oh yeah,
like reboot the Zephyr.
Reboot the Zephyr. Yeah, reboot the Zephyr. Yeah. That was all part of the deal. We had to remote control everything.
Yeah.
Oh, it was crazy.
But how did he remote control the mixer to be able to tap in or not tap?
He couldn't. He would have to jump in.
That's why
on-
I did the Motu, because that was a software control mixer. Yeah.
You know, we could. I mean, there were so many ways we could have made it more sophisticated, but it did everything he needed at that time, and it got the job done. And we had to move that whole rack to his sister's house when they sold their home in L.A. and moved to Hawaii.
And I remember for a while I was thinking about, because he had all the contracts on those ISDN lines, and we're in Chicago, and ISDN in California is still like $100 a line. And
ISDN
Chicago was out to
weird.
like $800 a
No,
line.
it depended on the service. If you're on a Verizon network, you might be
Frontier-
getting it for
Yeah.
$40-$50 a month.
Frontier was like 100. AT&T would be like $800.
Right.
Like crazy. And then
AT&T
Chicago,
would-
and it's all monopolies in the areas.
Right.
Like if you wanted ISDN in a certain area, there was only one carrier who could give it to you in that particular area.
Well, you own the copper. With ISDN, the companies that provided the service owned the copper. They owned the wire on the pole.
I remember stories of people in LA. They live across the street from each other. One side of the street is Frontier. The other side of the street is Verizon. And one guy is charging like $200 and the other guy's getting it for like $60. And it's like, how about we just chuck
Throw
the
some
cable
wires
across
over
the
the
street? Like,
Oh my God. I know.
I remember the first ISDN gig I did, and I was stupid because I actually called them.
oh gosh, and you paid through the nose.
yeah.
I have a
basically-
funny one. I bought
Yeah,
a
I
used
just-
ISDN box and they left it programmed to auto redial. And so I do
so
it. I
as
do
soon as they'd hang up,
I
it
do a
would
bridge.
redial?
Yeah, the thing goes, oh, lots of connections. So I did a bridge through it, and then the thing when they finished the bridge, the goddamn Maya recalled the people back, left that thing on for like 8 hours, and I got like a $300 bill
Oh yeah.
because they didn't know. Their box answered it. They weren't in there. Like,
It happened. I'll tell you what it happened to too, Andrew. That happened to Miguel Ferrer. Does that name ring a bell? Miguel Ferrer?
Not to me.
No.
Oh yeah, he did a lot of promo, and I think he got an $800 invoice because he had dialed up and never hung up the box.
yeah.
And it was a bit of a contention as who was going to pay that bill. It was. I remember
You
that.
are. Yeah. AT&T will go after you for that too.
Yeah, he was not happy.
I'll give you another really bad one.
R.I.P. By the way, Miguel Ferrer. He's passed.
We made VISDN towards the end, which was like we figured out how to electronically jump instead of like bridging with analog cables, how to electronically jump the call from IP to ISDN.
Yeah.
That was a big trick. It had this external hardware box. We're using these like deep telephony switches. It's like 3 a.m. My buddy and I are just working on this switch trying to make it work. And we finally get it to work. We're like, oh, good. Let's leave it. Let's go. In the middle of the night, freaking some assholes find this thing on the internet and they pump $13,000 worth of phone calls through it to Cuba,
No
to
way.
every high rate place there is to call. And the phone company stuck us with the bill. They're they pull out a contract. They're like, you are responsible for that ISDN line. And I was like, man, these hackers found that box in 8 hours.
Unbelievable.
I mean, we're talking about like $5 a minute phone calls.
I want to hear what Andrew's story was because we cut him off. But Andrew, what were you saying was?
I just
your
it was my
situation?
first ISDN session, and I dialed in,
Right.
and of course the amount of money I got paid for that job was less than what I paid to the telco for that session.
Oh gosh, right.
Oh my God!
This must have been so expensive.
This must have been why Nick Tate handed me his ISDN Zephyr Express one day, and she said, "I'm never using this again. Do you want to have it?"
Well, I mean, the rates on ISDN calls towards in the middle of it, if you were shopping right, you could sometimes find them for like 20, 30 cents a minute. But at the same time, especially if you didn't have a contract with a minimum amount of usage, easily $1 a minute. The wrong country to call to, we're talking about like the South Koreas in the world and any of like the more oppressive countries, $5, $10 a minute.
Oh my gosh. Do you remember dialing those long distance codes, 1010?
Yes,
3,
exactly.
3, 3.
Yep. But then the craziest ones were the ISDN lines that would go up to satellite.
Oh, what?
Those, yeah. Because, okay, so like you're a reporter in Iraq, in the desert of Iraq.
Just remember, we started this conversation talking about NAB. Go ahead.
Yeah. So you're reporting in the middle of like Desert Storm Iraq. Reporting here with that really long latency is a box that's wireless satellite, ISDN actually, up to the satellite, down from the satellite to another place that continues that ISDN call over to the station.
Yeah.
That's like a $12 a minute times two
lines
call.
You're being paged, Robert.
Am I really?
This is Rebecca saying, let me know when you're on your way. He's being summoned to a very special event.
It's our 20th party. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we're talking about the 20th here.
I know.
I'm on a podcast.
Yeah.
And we're on a
There you go.
podcast, and we're talking about what they want us to talk about.
Well, actually, what you should do is you should put "I'm on my ... and send that, and then send podcast.
My phone's in here somewhere. My watch is showing me that. Well, it's been fun. I have one more full day at NAB, which I'll be spending mostly in the North Hall this time, which is where a lot of the pro audio dealers are. So I definitely plan on showing the PASport around to a few companies. I've already shown it to a couple people today. But I hope to get it in front of the right people and get some more interest in it because the broadcasting world needs to see it.
Yeah, I've shown it to about 2 broadcasters that came up that were kind of more radio and about 3 voice talent.
Yeah.
Who usually come and are like, I just want to thank you. And, but I've been like, check this out. And
The ones that would normally buy a bunch of Comrex box, those portable Comrex access or the tie line, those things, those codec.
Yeah,
those are $3,000-$4,000.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get a PASport VO and
a cell phone.
And
Yeah, you're done. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, or SourceConnect.
Oh,
And probably more audio routing capabilities than like the 2 mics in on a.
Yeah, way more flexible. Yeah, so that's what we're looking at.
Talking about phones, yours is ringing, Robert. Go and get lubed up.
Well, that was fun. Is it over?
The Pro Audio Suite, with thanks to TriBooth and Austrian Audio. Recorded using SourceConnect. Edited by Andrew Peters and mixed by Robbo. Got your own audio issues? Just ask Robbo.com. With tech support from George the Tech Whittam. Don't forget to subscribe to the show and join in the conversation on our Facebook group. To leave a comment, suggest a topic, or just say g'day, drop us a note at our website, proaudiosuite.com.